Welcome to the SkySwitch University webinar series. Good morning, I'm Jason Jones of SkySwitch. On behalf of SkySwitch and the entire SkySwitch team, we'd like to thank everybody for taking the time today to join us to learn more about subscription-based recurring internet commerce using IPpay. I will be moderating today's webinar, and we are very pleased to welcome today's presenter, Mr. Josh Hirsch. He's the Senior Account Representative for IPpay. And merchants and resellers have experienced significant growth using IPpay's convenient and comprehensive revenue platform. And we hope the information you learn today can serve your businesses better by choosing to utilize IPpay services. So Josh will present his entire slide deck, and then we will conduct the Q&A session immediately after, as we do on every webinar. Therefore, just please type any and all your questions in the question widget you'll find in your GoToWebinar control panel, and it's right there in your plugin. And as always, we are recording today's webinar, which will be posted on the SkySwitch YouTube channel and also sent to all participants via email. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Josh with IPpay. Take it away, Josh.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well here. Wanted to thank you for making the time to join us this morning to go over how IPpay and SkySwitch are partnering to offer you guys lower cost credit card processing alternative and also an ACH solution that should be lower cost from where you currently are as well. So we have a slideshow here available for you, and we're going to kind of go through that and what to expect through the webinar. Look forward to taking any questions from you folks at the end. So where things are right now is basically the webinar overview here. We're going to go through who is IPpay, how do we differ IPpay from Authorizenet, how does Rev IO work with IPpay, and how does it differ from your current setup, the advantages of using IPpay versus Authorizenet and some of the other processors that are out there, and how to get started with IPpay, and what is the expected timeline for approval, and what is expected. So just getting started here. IPpay was formed about 14 years ago, and basically is a solution for our peers in the industry. At that time, we were an ISP and wholesale VoIP provider. Then realized that there were some VoIP deployment limitations when considering credit card machines in retail environments. Basically, what we've done is we found untapped pricing advantages in place for both industries with the credit card associations. And most card processors out there had a basic solution that they fed to the masses at that point. Credit card processing in these industries were considered higher risk because most of the transactions were card not present, which was something new at the time. So basically now with, a lot of the billing being done card not present, we've been able to work with the card associations and get lower rates and get you guys grouped into lower risk categories. Basically, IPpay was formed and integrated with billing software vendors throughout our industry to deliver more appropriate pricing, which basically means savings for you folks. And this was accomplishment in two big ways. Basically, what we do is we control the transaction from start to finish. This means that we don't come across the issues that other processors face, such as dropping additional fields of information when passing through a third-party gateway, such as Authorizenet, that doesn't cooperate or has a different set of rules. Basically, by passing those additional fields of information, it allows you guys to get grouped into lower risk categories with the bank, which means ultimately getting lower rates. IPpay brings value by identifying companies in a specific way to card associations in order to make them eligible for various billing concessions on both price and rules. Basically, some of the features that IPpay offers: seamless integration. Rev IO and other billing platforms integrate seamlessly over to IPpay. And what that means is basically there's no third party necessary, and we'll get into some of that. When we say third party, we're talking about other third party gateways such as Authorizenet and some of the other gateways that are out there. Interchange optimization. Interchange is basically the largest portion of the discount rate that you're going to see on one of your statements. Basically, it represents the fees that are paid to the card issuing banks in exchange for the services of underwriting and providing credit card processing. IPpay evaluates processing methods, transaction mix, the nature of your business, and its payments, acceptance, environments to determine the best solution for you. Typically in the credit card industry, there's a couple different pricing structures. And basically what we do is we allow, or we actually take a look at what you guys are doing and how everything is broken down and determine basically what the best pricing structure for your type of business would be. Tokenization. Tokenization is a big thing these days with a lot of the data breaches. So basically what this does is it reduces the PCI compliance headaches by using our encryption service. Basically, at that point, you're no longer storing credit card numbers locally through your billing platform, which I believe most of you are using Rev IO. And basically what that does is it uses IPpay's crypto PAN processing, and it works the same as before, with the exception the card numbers are replaced with an encrypted value only known to IPpay, which makes it virtually impossible for that data to be breached. Recurring payments. IPpay's recurring payments feature is perfect for bills or fees that occur on a regular basis. Basically, a lot of times these recurring payments are done through Authorizenet on a specific, or I'm sorry, done through Rev IO on a specific day in a month, whether it be the beginning of the month or on anniversary date that your customers have signed up each month. Those payments are run. Basically, we fully support that, and basically, do a lot of business with companies that are doing the recurring billing on a monthly basis. Basically for certain billing platforms, and right now this is under construction with Rev, but for cards that have expired, we have the ability to get new expiration dates and to get the card authorized without customer intervention. Basically what that does is it saves you guys some time having to reach out to your customers, get their card data updated with our account updater and account attenuator features. Eventually that will automatically update in your billing software, and basically you will always have the correct card number for your customer and they'll always go through. As far as dynamic descriptor goes, IPpay's dynamic soft descriptor functionality gives the merchant the ability to modify the statement descriptor on a per transaction basis. When using this feature, the merchant gains the ability to change this information according to the merchant's discretion per member type, sub-account type, service type, business model. Ultimately, what that means is you can change what your customers see on their statement based on the product that you're offering and how you guys want that to read. The other big thing is electronic funds transfer, ACH, and bank draft. We don't only offer recurring billing with credit cards, but also do ACH and bank draft processing. Many of the features above are supported for ACH processing as well. And ACH processes or payments can be sent in the same batch file with credit card payments. So this makes things easier. You don't have to track down your money. Everything's kind of available all in one report for you folks, and everything. Basically, we take pride in just being a one-stop shop with credit card processing and ACH as well. One of the big things at the Vector show and in talking to a lot of resellers is basically there's a lot of confusion between who Authorizenet is and what they actually do and versus what IPpay could be offering. The biggest thing to realize, Authorizenet is not your payment processor. Basically, when asking a lot of people who their payment processor is, people will come back and say Authorizenet. Authorizenet is just the gateway that allows Rev IO or your billing software to communicate with the actual processor of your funds. So ultimately, it's working. If you picture a tree, basically where your transactions are going. So basically, right now, Rev IO initiates a transaction. That transaction is sent to Authorizenet. Authorizenet then sends that transaction out to whoever your final processor is that is basically depositing the funds for you folks. Basically, at that point, Authorizenet is basically just a third party that is touching your money, that is allowing your current billing software to communicate with whoever it is that processes. Authorizenet serves as a gateway, a middleman between Rev IO, which allows your billing software the ability to communicate to the processor. This means there is an extra party touching your money. On top of that, Authorizenet has its own set of fees. Typically, there's a monthly fee and a transaction fee that goes along with using their service. And basically, the difference between Authorizenet and IPpay is its own gateway and handles the processing of your funds. There is no middleman with IPpay. Rev IO is directly integrated with IPpay, which means there's no need for Authorizenet or any third party for your billing software to communicate with us. The transaction is basically the transaction is sent directly from Rev IO to IPpay, who processes the transaction, then deposits that transaction into your bank account. How does Rev IO work with IPpay? And the reason why we're putting Rev IO on here is I believe the majority of the SkySwitch resellers are on the Rev IO platform. And this will also work with other billing platforms that SkySwitch resellers are using as well. But Rev IO is one of the many billing platforms that is directly integrated to IPpay. This means Rev IO has the ability to communicate with IPpay directly with no third party or middleman such as Authorizenet. Rev IO initiates your credit card or ACH transaction, recurring or one-offs, and send those transactions to IPpay. IPpay then catches the transaction that Rev IO sends to us. We process the transaction, then deposit that transaction into your bank account. We also report the result of that transaction back to Rev IO, and it updates automatically in your software. Rev IO provides you the results of the transaction, while IPpay also gives you access to a reporting site, which allows you to export reports, run one-off transactions through a virtual terminal, and also access your monthly statements. The reports that are available on the IPpay site allows you to match up everything that is in the Rev IO software. We offer settlement reports, authorization reports, and you guys can export those via Excel or run them directly from the reporting site that we offer to our customers. So why IPpay? Basically, number one reason for IPpay would be ease of use. There's no third parties, which we've gone over and I've hit on a couple times here. There's no extra party touching your money, which means better visibility to the flow of your funds and less fees, less customer service you have to deal with. You're not calling Authorizenet and your processor. You're calling basically a one-stop shop here at IPpay. And we would be able to get you guys the answers to your questions very quickly. Lower cost. Basically, as I was mentioning in the beginning, one of the feature sets, the interchange optimization. Through that, IPpay gives its customers the ability to save on fees in a way other processors don't. We're able to classify your transaction in a way other processors can't, which results in pretty significant savings for you folks. Just one example, Stripe, which is a processor that other people or some people are using over there. Stripe will come in at a 2.9% for each transaction. So for any transaction run, through Rev that is basically using Stripe would be charged a 2.9% for each of those transactions. IPpay's rates for your industry typically will come in anywhere from 2.3 to 2.45%. And basically what we do is we typically run a savings analysis on that to determine what the best rate for you guys would be and if we can qualify you guys for that lower 2.3%. Any cost associated with Authorizenet will be 100% savings going forward. So if you guys were to move over to IPpay and you guys currently have a setup where you're using Authorizenet to connect to your current processor, by moving over to IPpay, you would eliminate Authorizenet altogether, and any of the fees you're paying with Authorizenet would be 100% savings for you folks. On top of that, we offer payment flexibility. In the credit card industry, as mentioned earlier, there are different pricing structures depending on the variety of cards your customers are presenting. When I say variety of cards, we're not just talking Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. We're actually talking debit card, or normal Visa, MasterCard, Discover, if it's a rewards card or if it's a corporate card. That all depends on the cost associated with processing the card with the card associations. So what we do is we typically ask for a copy of a processing statement to complete a savings analysis for you. When we complete that analysis, we look at the statement and determine which pricing structure best suits the type of cards that you take, to basically make sure that we provide you guys the most savings and the pricing structure that is the best for the business model that you guys have there. How to get started with IPpay. So if you guys are currently processing, or if anybody is currently processing credit card payments, we ask that you send over last month's statement from Authorizenet and your current processor. This will allow us to present you a savings analysis and see a breakdown of card type to determine the pricing structure that will work best for your company. Once we complete the savings analysis, we'll call you to go over this and make sure you understand it. Obviously, let's face it, the credit card industry is confusing, and in the past, the credit card industry has gotten a pretty bad reputation for trying to get over on the customers. We take pride in educating our customers and making sure they fully understand the process, the fees that they're paying, and the benefit of switching over to IPpay. And we lay everything out fully transparent when moving over to us, so you understand exactly what fees would be there, even one-off transactions if something was to occur. A quick 5-minute application would then be completed over the phone and be sent over for your review, as well as a checklist of items that would be required by the bank to get you approved. At this point, if you decide to move forward with IPpay, you would e-sign the documents that we send over via DocuSign for you. Once the paperwork and supporting documents are received, we have an underwriting team that will review everything. During this part of the process, the bank might request additional information for clarification and to better understand your business. We say this to set the expectation ahead of time that there might be a little bit of back and forth at times. The difference between us and some of the other aggregators that are out there is we are considered a first-class processor. The banks we work with look at credit card processing as almost we're getting you guys a loan. So ultimately, the dollar amount that we're getting you approved for, the bank is on the hook for. And what they're looking at is they want to understand your business. They want to understand who they're investing in. And ultimately, that makes it a little bit different than working with a Stripe who is just going to get you guys turned on. And then if there's any issues, we'll get you guys turned off. We make sure that, in the grand scheme of things ahead of time, that everything's in compliance with the card associations, with the bank, so there's not going to be an issue on the back end once you guys are up and processing with us. So after everything is received, the approval time typically takes 3 to 5 business days for credit cards and anywhere from 5 to 10 business days for ACH or e-check. We say those time frames. Typically, the approval process is a little bit quicker. We kind of like to under-promise and over-deliver for our customers. Once approved, welcome credentials will be sent over to you. These credentials will give you access to our reporting site and will need to be inputted into the Rev IO or your current billing software. The SkySwitch team will then help implement this change for you. As you get your credentials, we will also copy in William Brister over at SkySwitch. His email is also listed there. William will work directly with Rev to get these credentials inputted. And let you know when you guys are able to run a test transaction. And once you receive that email from William, we ask that you run the test transaction right away to ensure everything is set up correctly so we can make sure that there are no issues with the setup for you folks. Here is a screen of some of the supporting documents that are required for approval to go ahead and move forward with IPpay. So one of the things that they ask for is a copy of a driver's license for all principals of the company. So basically, when on an application, we need to list 51% ownership or higher, and they would also ask for a copy of driver's license for anybody that has a 25% ownership stake in the company or higher. Basically, they will also ask for 3 months of bank statements. If the business account is not that old, they would need to see a personal or savings account history for any difference in the months. They also ask for 3 months of credit card processing and ACH statements if you folks are currently processing. If you're not, then basically you can skip this step. But if you guys are currently processing, they use this to determine what the dollar amount that we need to get you approved for on a monthly basis, giving you folks room to grow. They also will ask for a voided check if there's no voided check available. I know some people don't use checks these days. And basically, they would ask for a bank letter. The reason behind this is the account that we're going to deposit the funds to, and we need to make sure that that is verified. We would be on the hook if we deposited your funds to a different bank account. So ultimately, they want to make sure this is verified by sending that voided check or bank letter over. They also do a quick site survey. They want to make sure you're operating where you say you're operating. So they do ask for an exterior picture of the location. For those operating out of a residence, this step could also be skipped. They will also ask for articles of organization or an operating agreement. This will let them know who the ownership in the company is, who has decision-making power, and make sure that the person sending in the application has the ability to be able to do so. On top of that, there are certain website requirements. This is a new thing over the last year with the card associations and banks. They require terms and conditions, a refund policy with contact information, just in case of questions or concerns, to be posted on the website, as well as a privacy policy. They also use these terms and conditions to better understand your business model. So the bank wants to see these so they understand how you do your business and who they're investing in. Lastly, if there is a payment portal where you offer your customers the ability to go in and change payment information on a website, basically we would need access to this just to just run a test transaction or be set up as a test customer, where we would go in and they just test the credential or test the portal to make sure it's secure where that company information is being entered. Moving on here. So basically a general overview here. IPpay is very familiar with your industry, as 90% of our customers are from the telco and ISP industries. We're very familiar with your business model. We have a direct relationship with SkySwitch. This means multiple levels of support for you between SkySwitch, Rev IO, and IPpay. When it comes to the funds, you would only need to contact IPpay. One of the biggest complaints that I have heard for customers using Authorize.net is sometimes you have to chase your money and you have to call Authorize.net, and then Authorize.net directs you over to the processor. Then the processor will direct you back to Authorize.net. With us, basically, if it has anything to do with your money, you can call IPpay, and IPpay will be able to give you the answers. So we are a one-stop shop. You're not going to have to go all over the place to get the answers that you need. You'll be assigned an account rep here, and basically that account rep will work with our support team or our risk team to get you guys the answers that you need on a very quick basis. Our services are also offered on a month-to-month basis. We believe in earning your business each month. If we don't follow through with our promises, we don't expect you to stay with us. Because of our partnership with SkySwitch as well, we have extra incentive to make sure that you folks are very well taken care of with the best rates and the best customer service that we can offer. Lastly, we are a one-stop shop. Stop chasing your money. If there are questions about your money, call our in-house support team and get a quick response and answer to any or all of your questions. Since we're all in-house service, support, and sales, you'll never be transferred all over the place. Lastly, we want to earn your business, so please give us that opportunity and put us to the test. All we ask is you to send over last month's processing statement for analysis or reach out directly to IPpay for more information. My contact information is below. You guys will also have that after this call. There'll be a form that you guys can also fill in to request more information from us. So with that, that is our presentation. Hopefully that didn't leave you with more questions than you had beforehand, but we are, I guess at this point, I'll be available to answer any questions for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Josh. And
no problem.
That's what we love here. We love it short and sweet and to the point, and we can all get our questions out there, then get back to business. You know, what's important too for everybody to know that they are a one-stop shop, and their support is fantastic. So working with a company like this is just going to be advantageous for your business and allow that growth that you're looking for. One question we want to pop out of the gate, Josh, is about your support. You know, it is here in the U.S., but what are the support hours? How can these people contact you? What are the methods they can contact you? And what are the support hours your team are open?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So support hours are 8 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Central Time. There's also email access over the weekend. So if there's an urgent issue, there's always somebody monitoring the email box with remote access to be able to access your account. Our email address for a support team is really simple. It's support@ippay.com. The other thing is I offer, and our other sales reps here offer our cell phone number. So if there is an urgent issue over the weekend or after hours, you can reach out directly to your sales rep, and they will get in contact with a live person for you after hours to make sure your questions get answered.
Fantastic. I would say that's a pretty comprehensive support policy that you have. Good to hear. One question, I'm going to start with some of the questions that are popping in here right now. Does IPpay have all the tax calculations for the VoIP industry similar as Rev IO? IPpay is not a tax calculation or a tax calculation engine. They're a merchant processor, so they process transactions and making sure that money's moving in and out of Rev IO correctly. So that's not going to be applicable. Okay. Can we use IPpay with our QuickBooks and credit card payments?
So you can. QuickBooks makes it very difficult at this point. So it really depends on what version of QuickBooks you have. If you have QuickBooks Desktop, that is definitely doable. We partner with a plugin provider that would actually allow you to initiate the transactions directly from QuickBooks. As far as the QuickBooks Online version, that's a little bit more difficult. And at this point, we don't have integration with QuickBooks Online, only the desktop version. They are working on something that would allow us, we're hoping by the middle of the year to be able to do that. But if you have QuickBooks Desktop, definitely can help you out with that. And we would actually love to do a demo for you to show you how easy it can be to initiate transactions and for QuickBooks to be updated so you don't have to do the whole manual process that you currently are.
And let's be clear. I know we have a lot of resellers that are on the phone right now. We are 75% of our resellers at SkySwitch utilize Rev IO for the automation, for the taxation, getting on the bills, being able to do auto bill now, so you can queue it up and let it go. Multiple payment methods coming in through credit cards or ACH and so forth. A lot of our resellers are experiencing growth because they're utilizing a billing engine like Rev IO to automate the important, and that is getting paid from your customers. And when you bring IPpay and you layer that in on top of Rev IO, now you got the best of both worlds, and that's what we're trying to provide you here at SkySwitch, and that's what IPpay brings to the table for you guys. So, yeah, you can do your billing outside of it. You can do it any way you want, but if you want to experience growth and focus more on selling, marketing, and growing your business, IPpay and Rev IO is the simple choice for you. Okay. So, got another question here. Authorizenet uses a transaction key code that needs to be activated in all our billing portals. Do you have a key code also?
So as far as key code goes, basically what we do is with our credentials that come over, we provide credentials that are inputted directly into your billing portal in Rev IO. So that is all available on the welcome letter that we send over for you. And basically, if I'm understanding the question correctly, that would be entered in there. Now, as far as the transaction ID is automatically generated once a transaction happens, and that is reported back to Rev. So you would have the transaction ID from the specific transaction. So I'm hoping I answered that correctly with the two different parts of that, just to make sure I understood the question correctly. But credential-wise, we send credentials over to Rev IO that are inputted to allow you to initiate the transaction. If you're talking about a transaction ID for the specific transaction, that is generated once that transaction is sent over to us, and that is also sent back to Rev, and it would be available in that software.
Yeah, that goes with authentication. So it's all built in the Rev, and it's been supported for a long time, and it's up, and it's very, very good. So there's no issues there. Okay, so the next question I have here is, what is the percentage cost for running an ACH transaction?
Very good question. So
Very good
question. So the one thing that sets IPpay apart from other ACH processors out there is no percentage taken out per transaction. It is just a small transaction fee. That transaction fee is 40 cents per transaction. So there's no percentage taken out. There's no 10% taken out or point whatever percent taken out like Authorizenet does with a transaction fee on top of it. It's just a 40-cent transaction fee flat per transaction that you run. It doesn't matter what the dollar amount is.
And that's ACH only?
That is ACH only, correct.
Okay, great. Okay, well that's very good news. That's I would say that's very attractive. Is there any monthly fee to utilize IPpay? I'm thinking beer. IPpay. Is there a monthly fee for IPpay?
There is. So there is. IPpay monthly fee. When you're working with a first-class processor, first-class processors will make sure, number one, you're PCI compliant. So we have a partner that we work with that partners with us on that as far as PCI compliance goes. So there is small monthly fees that associate with that. And it really depends. And this is where it gets kind of iffy. We want to grow with you. So really depending on the volume, we will make sure that there is a savings for you guys. There has been times where we've had to go to upper management here to get approval for a very low dollar amount monthly fee. to make sure that the savings analysis makes sense for you. But typically, the monthly fee will range anywhere from $14.95 all the way up to $24.95 on a monthly basis. But you're not paying anything with Authorize.net anymore.
Okay, so let's just expound upon that a little bit. Is there like a new account setup fee too, some kind of fee that you charge just to initiate and get things going?
So typically at this point, what we've been doing is there is a application fee that goes along with it, and there is also an annual fee. Based on recent negotiations that we've had, we are working on getting all of that waived. Well, it would be a $25 annual fee to use the services, but then the application fee would be waived going forward if you guys were calling in and you mentioned that you guys are going to be using or coming from SkySwitch.
Fantastic. So I guess you note you're coming in from SkySwitch. They're going to waive the application fee. Is that what I heard?
That is absolutely correct.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Good incentive. Can you do me a favor? We've had a couple of requests for you to back up or go to your last screen, your last slide, which has your contact information. People want to contact.
Yeah, no problem. Let me put that up here.
Just
can you see my screen there?
Yeah, go ahead and go to presentation mode and blow it up a little bit, if you would. And
let's see what we got here. Boom. And that's
there you go. Nope, that's not the one.
Yeah, it should be.
That's okay. We can see it just fine.
We'll wave it up from right there.
All right. So there's Josh's phone number, Josh's email. Contact Josh. He's very responsive. He's happy to help you.
Let me just add something there, Jason. I mean, the best way, and obviously we're all busy here, and obviously we want to make sure we make the best use of the time we get to spend with you. So we ask typically if you guys are interested, you're currently processing, send us over your statement and we'll run an analysis and get back to you and follow up on the phone. And basically we're spending quality time with you. That way, if there's any questions, obviously feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. But to make the best use of our time, especially as business runners there or people that are running business, we don't want to waste your time. We want to make sure that we make the most of your time. So the best bet is always to send over a statement. We'll run an analysis, get that over to you, and we'll follow that up with a phone call, answer any questions, and go over the analysis for you at that point. That is usually the best route. But we're happy to take any phone call, any question that you have at any time.
All right, fantastic. How old is IPpay and who are the principals?
So we've been in business here for so the slide that we put up there, we've been first class processor for about 14 years at this point. We've been in existence for about 20, and we've come from a sister company, CTI Connect. So basically, principals of that company, are they asking like who the CEO is and all of that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Our CEO would be Mark Crewer, and our director of operations over here is Coy Lynch. Coy was also at the SkySwitch Vector show with us back in Tennessee with me as well.
Okay, great. Does IPpay work with e-commerce things like WooCommerce from our web store?
So as of right now, WooCommerce is one of the platforms or e-commerce solutions that is working on direct integration with us. So it's in the process very, very soon, like within the next month or so, that should be up and running.
Okay, good. Here's another good question. Can customers process their own payments on our website using virtual terminal? We do this through Authorize.net currently.
One of the things that is offered, so we basically give you a virtual terminal access when you come on as a customer of us. So if your customers wanted to call you and make the payment over the phone, that is completely fine. You can run that transaction as a one-off transaction through our virtual terminal. The other thing that we offer is an XML API. It's a very simple XML API that you can embed into the website that would direct you over to our page. You can process the payment, and then it basically directs right back to your page after. We can definitely provide that information for you. Basically, just have you guys sign a non-disclosure agreement, and we get that information over for you on how to get that embedded into the website. Great.
And we just, for Rich Rich Sismus over here just said he checked on IPpay and Authorizenet, and $27 monthly. The monthly fee is pretty consistent with what you're doing. But he just sent his Heartland statement to you for the last 3 months. He's looking forward to your analysis. All right, so you got your first one in there.
Sounds good. Perfect. I'll get right back to you.
Super. Can you send us your 12-page presentation? Gene, what we're going to do, we're going to post that, send it out to everybody. You'll have a link to it. And you're also going to have the YouTube video. So you can be able to view it on YouTube, and it'll be in the SkySwitch YouTube channel. So you're going to have everything there. Bruce said, where do we send our last 3-month statements to? There you go. That email address you see right there, Josh Hirsch at IPpay.com. That'll get it done.
And if you could just put in SkySwitch somewhere in the subject line so that we know where you guys are coming from, that would be greatly appreciated.
There you go, guys. And I'm going to give you some kudos. Telecom Tony comes back and says, great job, Josh. There you go.
Telecom Tony. Remember him
you
very well.
Forget Telecom
He's
Tony.
one of those you can never forget.
Color. He's like a color analyst. I love it.
Yeah. Should have had him do the presentation over here. That would have stood out for years to come.
I know. I should have had him be the MC at Vectors too. Josh said all credit cards are supported. Does that include Amex? For some reason, EVO payment made a big deal about that, separate agreement, etc.
So basically, the way Amex works, Amex is a little bit quirky. So it really depends on the dollar amount per year your folks are processing via Amex, and it would be a good problem to have. Number one, so any processor or any company that's doing over $1 million a year in Amex requires them to process with them directly. We still support it. So number one, the answer to the question is yes, we support Amex. We will process your Amex transactions. But for any company that is doing over $1 million a year in Amex business, that those transactions would get sent directly from IPpay over to Amex to process directly. If you're processing under $1 million, IPpay does that on our end, and everything would be done by us.
Super. Thank you. So is the rate set at a single processing cost, or does it vary like conventional / cost plus? And
so it really that's a great question. So that's one of the reasons why we look at your statement. So there, as mentioned, there's typically 3 different pricing structures when you're talking credit card industry. There is typically a cost plus program, which definitely is a good program, keeps the cost down a little bit. There's also a flat rate program, and flat rate tends to also keep the cost down. And the benefit of the flat rate is you know what you're going to be paying out fee-wise every month. Flat rate basically meaning if we were to charge 2.35% for every transaction, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, you know, it doesn't matter what type of card it is that you're taking in that category, if it's a debit, if it's a rewards card, or whatever it is, you're paying 2.3% on that. When it comes to cost plus, you have to guess, and you have to pull out an interchange table online to see what the cost of processing that card is with the credit card association, and then basically looking at what the plus portion of that is, which is the fee that goes to the processor. So it really depends on card type. A lot of times, if you guys are taking, a decent amount, if you have corporate customers and they're paying with a corporate card, a lot of times the flat rate program will work best for you. If you guys have a lot of, individual customers that have their debit card on file, sometimes the cost plus program would work better. So that's one of the reasons why we ask to see a statement. We don't want to just group you into one category and guess, throw a dart against the wall and say, all right, this structure is going to work best. Now, the other thing that's nice about us is if you process one way and you guys go on let's say you go on a cost plus program and you find out that might be running a little bit expensive, we are more than willing to work with you folks, and we can always change the pricing structure while you guys are with us by just getting a new rate page signed. So we're really flexible with that, but we want to make sure we put you folks in the right pricing structure first time, and that's why we ask to see the statement that you guys send over. It's not so much to know what you guys are paying. It's more to see a breakdown of card type. It gives us information. A lot of times that's not seen through, you know, a normal person looking at the credit card statement that they're getting on a monthly basis.
Yeah, that's good news. Flexibility is key to any successful business. So that's fantastic, Josh. Thank you. Got one more. Got a couple more questions that popped in. You know, a lot of our SkySwitch resellers, you know, they're selling the SkySwitch platform and they're selling it underneath their own brand. But they're also MSPs. They're IT companies. They have other portals that they need, you know, merchant processing for too, and payment processing for transactions. So can a single account they get through you be utilized in multiple different platforms?
It can. So basically what we do is we typically try to get you approved for, in the credit card industry, you get signed up and you get a merchant ID, and that's standard with any company you go with. Typically, if a reseller is offering other services that don't qualify, like in the original merchant ID that they came for, we open up a second ID underneath that merchant ID, and basically you can actually decipher what transactions came from which part of the business. So let's say from the reseller side of the business versus the other, and that would all be broken down for you based on the type. You know, if everything kind of groups into one category, yeah, and that wouldn't be a problem at all. You would be able to use that same merchant ID for pretty much everything there.
Oh, that's perfect. That's good news.
Yeah, we have another customer that just came on with us that's in the same boat, that, you know, they're offering VoIP services and reselling, but then they also have another part of their business that they're using their merchant account for as well. So it definitely can help out there.
Okay. So last question we have here. If we currently have a swipe and chip reader, which ones are compatible with IPpay?
It's a very good question. So we would have to take a look at your statement to see who the current processor is and what system that they're on. We do offer very cheap swipers as well, and sometimes we can even bundle that in for no additional cost for you folks. So it really depends on the type of swiper it is that you have currently and who you guys are currently processing with. So that's a little bit tougher of a question to answer.
Sounds great. Well, you know what? That is all the questions that we have today. Josh, it was fantastic presentation, good interaction. We really appreciate it. I'd like to thank everybody again for participating today. There is a jot form down here too. Do you want to talk to that a little bit, Emily?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I just sent a job form link in the chat box for all of you. If you just want to request more information from Josh, this is another way that you can. And this job form link will also be sent in the follow-up email along with the recording. So Josh will be completely accessible to everyone if you're interested in learning more about IPpay or getting started with them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Josh. That's it for today. We appreciate everybody. We'll catch you on the next SkySwitch University webinar series. Thank you much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody, for your time. Bye.